Hello, this is Gas Bandit, and welcome to part 2 of my tutorial series on Space Engineers. This is going to cover inventory management, control panels, and maybe even mining if I can get to it quickly. Okay, as you run around, you are no doubt going to run into things that look like this. This is a cargo container. It's got a part that glows yellow here, and a part that glows yellow here. Things that glow yellow are things that you interact with. Now, what these various things mean is that this big door part is the actual cargo container itself, and this little glowy yellow part is its control panel. Now first, before I do any of that, I'm just going to hit I, and that brings up my character's inventory. As you can see, all I've got on me are my 3 tools. This bar, or this section over on the right hand side, would show the inventory of anything I was interacting with were I doing so. So let's do that. Let's see what's in this cargo container. I mouse over it and hit T. Or I lie, I hit K. Okay, this cargo container has 4 missiles, 148 girders, 138 small steel tubes, and various other sundries for assembly and construction. Now you may be kind of confused by the layout here. It's a lot to take out in at first. Just remember, on the left hand side generally defaults to showing your character's inventory, and on the right hand side generally defaults to showing the inventory of whatever system you are attempting to access, and it prefers to put what you're closest to at the top of the list. You can switch it to simply by clicking this little head here to show only the inventory of the object you are directly interacting with. So that way, if you've got this view up and you don't know what the hell all this stuff is, you just want to see what's in the thing you touched is, that's this little head button right here. However, it can be very useful to see all connected inventories, because, for instance, if I wanted to get this little bit of platinum out of the refinery, I don't have to walk all the way to the refinery so long as their inventories are connected. I can simply go to any inventory interaction door that is connected to the refinery and drag the platinum into my inventory. Now I have the platinum in my inventory. And if I close that out, you'll see that it's actually not a very big run to the refinery. It's right there. But how inventories are connected are through these yellow doors. For example, this cargo container, if we run around to the back, you'll see it's actually probably connected to, let's see, where was that cargo connector? Okay, so it's connected to a conveyor right there, which I think of a conveyor as simply just a 6-way tube. And that conveyor is then connected to the assembler, and the assembler is connected to the refinery. And the important part when connecting inventories is that the objects have to be connected door to door. Simply putting them next to each other isn't enough. Like, for example, this large cargo container and this small cargo container are not directly connected because this door doesn't connect to a door here. Rather, the door on the side is connected to a conveyor, which is then connected to the cargo container, which in turn is connected through a door to this nuclear reactor here. So if you can daisy chain your objects together, you can get one big happy family of stuff that you can take stuff out of and put stuff into from any door on the system. Let's see. That pretty much is inventory management for beginners. I'm going to put the platinum back in this cargo container here. Now you can either click and drag it across if you want, or you can double click it and it will simply go to whatever's at the top of the list. And that can be useful too, because if you want it to stack with what's already in there, double clicking it will get it to stack very quickly. Oh, I should tell you how to separate stacks. Right click an object and drag it somewhere, and then let go, and this dialog will pop up. That will then let you determine how many of whatever item it is you want to drag into the new slot. For example, I just took 10 liters of iron bars and put them in my inventory. but now I don't want them. I want to put them back, so I simply double-click, and then go back and stack with the iron bars. Here's another example of connecting inventories. You see this turret here. If you don't connect it to an inventory, see, here's a glowing yellow part. That means we can interact with it. Hitting K. It's got 20 ammo containers in it, but if it was not connected to the rest, once it ran out of that, it would not be able to fire. However, there is a door on the bottom of this, which is then connected to this cargo container, which through these conveyor tubes is connected to this conveyor, which is then connected to this conveyor, which is then connected to these conveyors, which are then connected to this conveyor, which is then connected up to all this crap over here. So it's all one big interconnected system, and that's why there's so much on the screen whenever you open one of these doors, because this is the inventory of everything that is connected in the station. Now, if you ever want to drop anything that's in your inventory, you can simply drag it to this button here, or simply highlight it and then click the drop item button, and that will drop it. Well, I want my welder back, so how you pick things up is you simply mouse over them and hit T to pick them back up again. Let's go over what the tools do. The welder is for repairing or building up things that have been placed. In creative mode, it's not all that useful unless something was placed incomplete already, like this block of light armor here. However, you can see I can't do very much in it in survival mode because I need the steel plates that go to complete this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to this cargo container, and I see steel plates here. So I'm just going to drag the whole stack over here. If it was more than I could carry, then it would only drag over however much I could carry. But, you know what? I've changed my mind. I don't want to finish this one. I want to build a new block. So, I've already got armor blocks loaded up in my number 1 slot, but I'm going to hit G just to show you how to pick a block. Like, for example, I don't want a square block. I want a sloped block. I'm going to right-click it, and that'll put it in an empty inventory, or empty hotbar slot. And then, using number 9, I'm going to come over here, and that's not how I want it to face. I want to make a little ramp over here. So look at the upper right-hand corner of the screen, and you will see kind of a hint that tells you how to rotate the block you are placing. I can hit Home to rotate that side up. I can hit End to rotate this close side down. So using the keys that are on the screen there, I can then rotate the block until it is placed how I want it to be. Then I click, and a basic frame for the block is placed down. Now I need to switch to my welding torch and come over to the block, and you'll see that right now it only contains 1 steel plate out of the 13 it needs to be completed. Also take note, the bar has its life bar, so to speak, has a red line in it. That red line denotes the point at which a block becomes useful or functional. And anything above that is simply padding for taking damage. So I'm going to start welding this, and you see immediately it places everything I've got that can go in it in the block, and then I weld it up. Remember, I've got like 5 times welding speed, so that happened 5 times faster than realistic. Now I've got a nice little light armor slope there that'll take me up into this whirling bladed death trap. So that's actually not a very good thing. Somebody could stumble in there and get hurt. I don't want that to be there at all. So I'm going to get my grinder, and I'm going to grind it back down. That went very quickly, but I hope what you saw was that it came apart in stages, and it placed the parts that I used to build it back in my inventory. There is perfect conservation of materials in this game, in that it does not give you back less when you grind something down than it took to build it. So that way, if you change your mind, it doesn't cost you anything. And finally, the last tool in the inventory is the hand drill. The hand drill, if used on any block type item, will damage it. Notice I have warped that light armor block quite considerably. And if I switch to my torch and go up close and look at it, you'll see that I've actually damaged it so much that I've destroyed 4 of the steel plates that comprise it. It's almost down to redline, which is where it would basically cease being useful as armor. But I'm going to repair it simply by using my welding torch with more steel plates in my inventory. And I think, oh, that block is fine too. It's important to notice that there's a green box around something when I'm close enough to interact with it. See here, I'm too far away to interact with this yellow wall here. Here is how close I have to be to see the repair status and actually weld or grind on the wall. Anyway, back to the hand drill. So the hand drill does damage without reclaiming the parts of a block, and when it comes to asteroids, it is useful for breaking up asteroids into pieces. Now you'll also notice that as you walk around with the hand drill on, you'll see these little crossed axes with names of minerals on them. That is a function of the hand drill in that it has a built-in mineral detector. So that will tell you where things lie. Like there is a vein of iron 6 meters away from me in this direction. Now the hand drill has 2 modes of operation. The primary mode breaks pieces off that you can pick up. The secondary mode digs much, much faster, but does not break any pieces off for you to pick up. So right-clicking is a good way to make a tunnel in a hurry. That'll get you to what you actually want to dig much faster than left-clicking. Now, I'm going to hit L to turn on my helmet light. That lets me see a little bit better. When you run into a bit of rock that is colored, that means you've run into a mineral. Now notice how I've kind of drilled down here. I'm still in the confines of the gravity field from the station here, which makes mining much, much easier. So if you dig down a little bit and make a little pit, you can then left-click on the ore, and the rocks should fall into a nice pile here at the bottom. You can hit T to pick them up individually, or you can just hold down T and mouse across them as you go. So, do that for a little while. Just run right up to the rock, dig it out, and you know what? I'm actually going to encourage you to be very selective about what you pick up. You don't need all that much regular stone, but you'll need lots of iron, you'll definitely need lots of uranium, because uranium is fuel for everything in this game. If you run out of uranium, then you don't have a way to refine more uranium, and you're pretty much dead in the water. Incidentally, this goes into your inventory. Your maximum inventory is actually determined by liters, not by kilograms. You can carry any amount of weight of things so long as it fits into your maximum amount of liters. But notice the amount of stone I have is 96.2. That's important because I want to also show you that you can pick up things by drilling them. Hitting them with your drill will also place them in your inventory. That way you don't have to worry about destroying a rock that you dug up from a wall with your drill. You don't have to be careful drilling, you just have to be a little bit set up so that you can catch the pieces you want. So, let's say now we've got some things. Ore isn't particularly useful in and of itself. You can't make anything out of ore. We need to refine the ore in a refinery and then use an assembler to make parts for things. So let's walk over here to this cargo container. Now here's an interesting note. As long as the inventories are connected, you don't actually have to put the ore directly into the refinery. You can place them in any connected cargo container. Like I'm going to place this iron in this cargo bay and you'll see it disappear almost immediately. Gone. Now where it went is it's actually... Oh, the refinery's already done with it. The refinery saw that there was unrefined ore in a connected inventory and pulled it into the refinery and refined it into iron ingots immediately. Let's put the uranium ore in there. That should probably go a little bit slower. There. See, it is now refining the uranium ore into uranium ingots, which then in turn are automatically being placed in the nearest reactor. The inventory kind of attempts to self-manage like that if you let it, and really there's no reason not to. So, now we've got ingots. What do we do with them? Oh, I'm going to put them up here with the other iron ingots, just because I'm obsessive compulsive like that. But anyway, as long as you have a attached assembler in your line, you can now go into the production tab and tell what you want to build. You can either order individual pieces a la carte, like for example, if you know you're going to build a lot of armor, you're going to want some steel plates. And the assembler is smart enough to look through all the connected inventories and find the ingots that it needs to make whatever you want. Now you can't actually drag it out of the inventory here, you got to switch back to the inventory tag, and there you can pull the steel plates out of its inventory. If the inventory of an assembler that fills up while it's working, it will attempt to push the parts into a nearby cargo container. However, a more useful to noobs type of method of building something is to simply click one of these small blueprint tabs over here, like for large blocks, and say I wanted to build, what do I want to build? Say I wanted to build, here we go, a passenger seat. Mousing over it shows me the amount of ingots that will be required to build it, although the slash available part only shows how many ingots are actually in the assembler itself at the time. So don't get discouraged if what you want is in red, because it's not counting things in attached inventories yet. So for example, say I wanted to build this cockpit 3. You can click that and it automatically loads all the different components you will need to build that cockpit into the production queue. And it takes a little while to process, and while it does that, my energy has gotten down to 58%, so I'm going to take a quick stroll over here to the medical room and hold down T to refill my energy. Energy refilled, I'm going to walk back to the cargo container, and looking down at the assembler, it stopped assembling, but I don't think that's everything. Oh, now what this is telling me is that I don't have enough gold to make the computer parts necessary for building the item that I queued up. So, we need some gold. Now, using my jetpack, I'm going to go fly over the nearby asteroid looking for gold. Uranium, iron, uranium, iron. Now, it's possible that there is no gold in this asteroid. I might have to go to a neighboring asteroid. Now, as you might be saying at this point, boy, all this mining sure is tedious to do by hand. Well, you're right. As early as possible, you're going to want to build something akin to this. This is a small drilling ship. See, the drill is attached to the front. This is a much more economical way of drilling for ore. I'm going to get in it and hit Y to turn on its power. Now, because this mining ship has an ore detector attached, it is always detecting ore at all times. And it has a wider radius than the hand drill. So I'm going to fly around a little bit. See, iron and uranium and platinum, and oh, I saw gold. Where did I see gold? I could have sworn I saw gold. Gold, 43 meters down there. That's probably on the other side of the asteroid. So I'm going to fly around to the other side of the asteroid. Now the gold is only 22 meters from here. Now I'm going to hit G to set up my toolbar, and then right-click the drill to place it on my hotbar, and 1, 2, then activate the drill. And then I'm going to... Oh, in case you're wondering how I keep looking around like this, that's you hold down the Alt key. Sorry I didn't say that earlier. That's also very handy. If you hold down Alt, either in the cockpit or outside or in third-person view, that will let you look around, which can be very useful. Now, Good. This ship also has lights, a spotlight on it, so I hit L to turn on the spotlight. Now, obviously, the gold is a bit below the surface here, so I'm going to, just like the hand drill, right-click, and that drills through the rock much faster without actually getting me any rock. The advantage, though, is that once I've gotten to the gold I want, left-clicking with this drill means I don't have to pick up any gold. It just automatically gets collected by the drills. Left-clicking, I then also thrust forward. Now notice how I jink around a whole lot. That's just because the drills are shaking the ship. That can't be helped too much other than by making a more massive ship or putting more thrusters to compensate. But, anyway, away I go, drilling at the gold in this asteroid. Okay, so I've drilled some gold. Checking the inventory. Remember, this is my inventory on the left, and on the right is the inventory of whatever I'm interacting with. So I've managed to dig up 344 liters of gold, along with 713 liters of stone, 1,500 liters of magnesium, and 5 and change of nickel. Well, that's enough for demonstration purposes right now. Now I'm going to fly back to the platform. And once I'm here, there are a couple different options you have of unloading the ore. And the first option is to simply get out and do it by hand. And we have such a small amount, I'm going to do that rather than waste time looking for the cargo connector. That's for a future tutorial. So anyway, I'm going to come down here and get close to the deck. Then I'm going to hit T to get out, and don't worry about leaving a ship on. It actually uses very little power just to hold itself stationary, so it's completely okay to leave a ship sitting and running like this. As you can see, right now it's using so little power it could sit here idling for 69 days. You can see the fuel time in the lower right hand corner. So I'm going to leave that there. Now, don't be fooled by these little things along the side. These are conveyors, and you can tell you can't interact with them because they don't light up when you mouse over them. But if you come back to this connector here, which is attached to the main cargo bay of the drilling rig, and hit K, you can then access everything that's in it. In fact, it's already moved all of the ore to the connector itself. Does this thing even have... Yeah, it does have a medium cargo connector. That just shows that sometimes things are crazy about where it places what it digs up. So I'm going to get the gold, and for good measure, the magnesium and the nickel out of the drilling ship and walk them over here to the cargo container. And in the cargo container, I'm going to simply place them. They'll get sucked up by the refinery, which will then refine them into ingots, which will then, in turn, be used by my assembler to make the computer parts I need. So there, my production queue is completely done. I'm going to pick it up and put it in my inventory. Now I have all the parts I need for making another cockpit. And just for example, I'm going to place it right here. There. Now notice that the frame is placed, but I need to finish it with my welder. And when you first place a frame, it only uses one resource of the most basic kind, which means that it is now very vulnerable to being destroyed by damage from shooting or bumping. Now, you don't have to worry about bumping into it as a person unless you're going at a really fast speed and are not under the effects of gravity with no jetpack. But anyway, I'm going to start welding it. Oh, I think I built the wrong kind because I don't have enough displays. Yeah, I guess I probably queued up a different kind of cockpit, probably cockpit 3, and now I'm trying to build cockpit 2, and you'll notice that there'll come a point where I'm not allowed to weld it anymore because I don't have enough displays. So I'm going to come back over here, and using the production queue, I'm going to custom ask for 6 more displays. switch back to inventory. And now I have the 6 displays I need to finish this cockpit. Now you also notice looking at it that there is now an extra line on it, a blue line as well as a red line. The red line, as I said, denotes functionality. This cockpit does not function as a cockpit so long as its health is below the red line. The blue line indicates the points at which the computers in it are working right. And that comes more into ownership. In order to hack ownership of something, you have to use your grinder to get it below its blue line and then simply just weld it back up again. And you'll see that I now own it. See, it says owner me. Even though it was set to no ownership and I could have just taken ownership to it, I just hacked ownership of that medical room. It now belongs to me. So anyway, using those 6 displays, I'm going to finish construction of this cockpit. The cockpit is now complete. I can now use it as I could any other cockpit. Cockpits on stations don't generally let you move them around. However, they are useful because they show you your current power usage. They're good as places to recharge yourself. And they also let you, if you hit K when sitting in a cockpit, it'll take you to the control panels of all attached systems in the station. For example, if I decided I wanted to turn the Gatling turret nearby off so that it did not shoot at somebody who was approaching, I could simply sit in the cockpit, or I could access this from any control panel that's attached to the station, choose the Gatling turret, and tell it I want it turned off. And now the Gatling turret is off and won't shoot at anybody. See, it's no longer got a green laser pointing out of it. It's no longer moving around. Or, conversely, say I wanted to turn the Gatling turret on. I'd simply come back here, turn it back on. I can name it things if I want to. I can set its radius. The control panel is all about setting the behavior of an object, not necessarily interacting with the object. You come into the control panel to determine how a object or system acts on its own. So, T to get out of that cockpit. I think I've probably run way over for this tutorial. That'll do for right now. Next tutorial will deal with building ships.